Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving right into something incredibly practical. We're going to deconstruct a guide that focuses entirely on postpartum core recovery, specifically for moms who've had a C-section. Our source text provides this really clear, grounding framework for navigating what is, frankly, an overwhelming period. It just strips away all the noise to look at what actually works. So, if you're looking for structured insights on how physical recovery happens behind the scenes, well, you are in the exact right place.
Okay, so right off the bat, there's this bold phrase the source highlights: lower belly fat transformation. Let's be real, that is a powerful, highly sought-after result, right? And our source material explicitly acknowledges this. It points out that this kind of transformation is usually what grabs our attention first. It's that dramatic before and after we're so used to seeing on social media. But instead of just dwelling on that glamorous end result, the text we're analyzing today basically uses it as a jumping-off point. It acknowledges the desire, sure, but then it immediately pivots to the reality of how that result is actually achieved.
And that pivot brings up a really massive question. How do you actually achieve this kind of transformation while you are recovering from major surgery? Because let's be absolutely clear here. A C-section isn't just having a baby, it is major invasive abdominal surgery. The juxtaposition is pretty profound when you think about it. You've got a body that requires deep, fundamental healing, paired with this very normal desire for significant physical transformation. It's a delicate, honestly, almost contradictory position to be in. So how do you bridge that gap without causing harm? The source material tackles that inherent tension head-on.
To answer that, the guide completely rejects your typical fitness industry narrative. It draws a super stark contrast between unrealistic expectations and a realistic day in the life. Our source intentionally anchors its whole approach in the latter, a realistic post-C-section routine. It actively pushes back against the pressure of those intense, punishing standards that always seem to plague postpartum mothers. Instead, it bases everything on the reality of what a normal day actually looks like when you're juggling a newborn and a recovering body.
So we really need to define what realistic means in this context. Based on our source, being realistic means shifting your focus entirely away from grueling hour-long gym sessions. Those simply do not fit into the chaotic reality of a new mom's life, right? Actually, scratch that. They don't fit into most people's lives. Instead, realistic means focusing purely on daily habits. It's all about the small, manageable actions that you can actually sustain day after day, even when you are running on zero sleep. According to our text, this is where the magic actually happens.
Let's move right into Section 1, the Daily Habits Framework. We're going to look at how building results through consistency actually works in practice. Our source text is built on 4 core pillars. First, we have those daily habits we just talked about. That's your foundation. Second is balancing motherhood, which just acknowledges that, childcare is the primary context of your day now. Third is short exercises. We're not talking long workouts, we're talking brief bursts of movement. And finally, safe for recovery. Literally, if it isn't safe for a post-surgical body, it doesn't make the cut. These 4 elements, they're a package deal. They have to exist together for the framework to actually succeed.
Next up is Section 2, Balancing Motherhood. This really looks at the primary obstacle and therefore the primary focus of the entire journey. The text outlines a very strict, logical flow here. Notice how step 1 is not start exercising immediately. Step 1 is literally balancing motherhood. The source explicitly states that you have to focus on balancing your new role with the exercises. You've got to create the space and give yourself the grace to be a mother first. Only after you navigate that can you effectively move to step 2, which is incorporating those short exercises into the tiny margins of your day. And that sequence is exactly what unlocks step 3, achieving true postpartum recovery. You just can't skip straight to step 3 without mastering the balance of step 1.
All right, let's look closely at Section 3, the methodology. This focuses on routines that are short, effective, and safe.
When it comes to the actual movement, the source uses very specific phrasing: short, effective core exercises. And honestly, that's the entire fitness methodology in a nutshell. It doesn't demand hours of free time, because free time is a luxury a new mother rarely has. By keeping the core work incredibly short, it becomes mentally and logistically possible to actually get it done. And by making sure it's effective, those brief little moments compound over time to rebuild the abdominal wall. But above all else, and I really want to slow down here because this is the bedrock of the entire guide, the routine absolutely must be safe for postpartum recovery. The exercises have to honor the trauma that the body has just been through with a C-section. It's not about pushing through the pain or doing some extreme cardio boot camp. Physical safety after major abdominal surgery dictates every single movement in this framework. If an exercise compromises safety in any way, boom, it is immediately discarded.
Which brings us to the core thesis of our source material: daily habits that lead to those results. Remember that dramatic lower belly fat transformation we talked about at the very beginning? Well, the guide makes it unequivocally clear that those major physical transformations are solely the product of unglamorous, safe, consistent actions. It's just the quiet integration of short, safe core exercises into the loud, chaotic reality of motherhood. For sure, that is the only realistic path to getting those results.
And that brings us to a final thought for you to take away today. We've seen how the source material breaks down the illusion of overnight fitness, replacing it with the very real power of a realistic day in the life. So I'll leave you with this. Whether you're navigating a C-section recovery yourself, or you're just looking to understand how monumental physical changes actually happen through small, consistent steps, what daily habits are shaping your recovery? Think about how you can apply this realistic, grace-filled framework to your own life. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.